Hey guys, welcome to my May reading wrap-up. And as always, let's start with the cover page. Last week I did a couple of alcohol marker illustrations and I really wanted to use them in my journal, so that's what these are. I had slightly rough time figuring out the rest of the page since this big square illustration takes up a lot of space. I could have printed smaller, yes, but then I still would need to figure out the rest of the page. I have these cute little stickers from Marigona Soli, so I used one of them here, and I think this sticker and my illustration complement each other so nicely. I found a very old sticker sheet. It for sure is maybe 5 years old, maybe even more, and there were these cute cloud stickers, so I just put those in here as well. We also have here a May title, of course. It is this dark olive green color, but my phone has a hard time with accurate colors recently, so it might not look green in the footage, but it is. I tried a pink one as well to match with the color pencil I used for the outlines in the illustration, but it felt a bit off, so green it is. And you know what? This page is very simple for my usual style, but it is still cute. On the next page there is always a calendar. Don't mind me drawing it wrong first. I will figure it out eventually, after I put all numbers in. As a decoration I am adding a cloud washi tape because I do not have any more of those cloud stickers I used for the cover page, and then I'm also adding another illustration I made last week. In this calendar I mark days I read each book during the month, and I am coloring in only days I actually spent time reading the particular book. So that's why you see me skipping some days with certain colors. I love doing it this way instead of coloring in every single day of reading a certain book from start to finish, even when I did not read on those days, because here I can see which books I inhaled in a span of a few days and which have been picked up more sparsely, so I was probably not enjoying them as much. On the side of the calendar and also under it I have the list of all books I have read, including those I have not finished yet, and I color the book titles as well, so I would know which entry in the calendar is for which book. I usually also write down names of books on the colored lines in the calendar, but this month I am doing it slightly differently. I very loosely color matched the colors of the markers to the book covers themselves. Very loosely. I did not want to spend forever on this. So that means the calendar itself is very colorful, which might be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the decoration around it. But colors are now distinctive enough that I do not need to specify which book is which. I usually try to color match the markers to the monthly cover page so it would all match, but I am glad I tried to do this differently this time. And it all somehow still looks nice together. Now let's talk about all 9 books I finished in May. Yes, I read a lot and no, not all of them were enjoyable. Okay, let's start with Swordheart. I absolutely adored it in the beginning. It was fun, I had a good time. I was even thinking it might be my first 5-star of the year. No, I did not have a 5-star yet. I have read a few books that were very close to being 5 stars, but none of them was like, a proper 5-star. But anyway, Swordheart. It's about Hala, widow in trouble who finds a magical sword with a man trapped inside. I don't really say what books are about in my videos nowadays because you can easily find that information online, and I don't want to accidentally spoil something to you, so that is a very short introduction of the book. A Woman and a Swordman, written by T. Kingfisher. If you have read something from this author, you probably know the tone. There is a specific humor and storytelling to her books, and I have come to realize I don't really enjoy it. I loved the Nettle and Bone. That was my first book by this author, and I have tried quite a few more books after that, but none of them were as good as Nettle and Bone for me. So with Swordheart, I think it was my last book by T. Kingfisher. I just found it extremely repetitive, especially the Halas behavior and the quote wittiness and cleverness. Simply lost the charm much sooner than halfway through the book. She became obnoxious, and while she was supposed to be 30-something years old, she acted like a teenager most of the time. And while the sword guy is very charming and has a strong sense of justice, he could not stop thinking about her boobs. I kid you not, it was boobs everywhere, and it was just so annoying. There was also a queer representation, Zell, which, okay, fine, I love to see that, but it became very unclear what was happening and who was doing what, because we often had they, them as a reference to Zell, but also they, them as a reference to a group of people, sometimes even in the same sentence, and it was just so confusing. So, yeah, anyway. Strong start, not so strong the rest of the book. The page though, I really like how I decorated it. Also, yes, I accidentally printed most of my book covers extremely big, so they look massive on the page, but you know what, I kind of like it. Let's talk about Where the Library Hides next. This is the sequel to the What the River Knows I read in April, and that one ended in such a way I immediately went into reading the sequel, but I did not enjoy this one at all. In the first book, I liked the romance aspect of the story, but here we were kind of robbed of that, and the main character just got on my nerves more and more. I started to dislike her in the second part of the first book, and sadly it did not get better. I was just not picking this book up when I had a time to read, so it took me more than 3 weeks to finish. In hindsight, maybe I should have DNF'd it. I was just really frustrated with the main character and with the way the author basically tricked us into reading the sequel. I sometimes take notes while reading. I definitely should do that more often, but I keep playing hero and believing I will remember everything I wanted to talk about, and by the time I am working on my monthly wrap-up, of course, I do not remember what I wanted to talk about, and I sometimes even can't believe I have read some of the books just last month. I should finally learn from my mistakes and maybe start at least writing my reviews after I finish each book. That would for sure make it much easier for me when making these videos, but no matter how often I say that to myself and to you guys, I rarely do that. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that I actually have written a note about this book while reading it, and I must have been quite frustrated because I wrote, quote, "She kept congratulating herself on how awesome she is at hiding her true emotions. I beg to differ." Unquote. Okay, I completely forgot about that, but yeah, that is so true. Okay, guys, so at this point, I was getting slightly suspicious I would have not so good reading month because I was not enjoying myself with this book either. So I was not sure whether, if it's the book or if it is me or maybe both. But anyway, I kept reading because I love doing that, and my next read was Kindred. And yeah, that was a whiplash from everything I have read before that. Kindred was my first book by Octavia E. Butler and for sure won't be last, but it will take me some time before I will pick up another because this was such a hard read. I am not going to say it was amazingly written because it wasn't, and there was so much to be desired. Even some dialogues were odd and some things I wish were discussed more, but they were just brushed over. Despite all of that, this book made me feel scared and hopeless and angry at times. This story is about Dana, a young African-American writer married to a white man living in 1976, who finds herself being repeatedly transported in time to a Maryland plantation in early 1800s. And there she is considered a slave and is in fact treated like one, and suddenly we realize everything can be very easily taken from her, even her life, and she suddenly has to fight for her own survival. There are many graphic depictions, so be aware of that if you choose to read Kindred. The author shows how easy people could be, let's say, trained to accept slavery. It's a fascinating and horrific story, and even when I sometimes just had to go with the flow, it was one of the stories that will stay with me for a long time. I would like to talk a lot about this book, but for some reason it is hard for me to find words. I think it is an important read for those who can stomach to read it, of course. I love this patterned paper I used in here and all the butterflies. It all came together so nicely. What did not came together as nice is the next page. I struggled so much with it. I started reading A Wizard of the Earthsea on a whim. It's been a long time since I read an older fantasy, and this was so enjoyable. I do not have any other words for it than enchanting and simple, but in a good way. It felt like a return home, even when I had never read this before. I was nostalgic and happy while listening to this book. There is a magic school, there are dragons, a foolish young boy with a natural talent for magic who, let's say, learns his lessons. The story is so fast-paced that if it is written today, there would be at least 2 or 3 books made out of story in this one, and while sometimes it felt like we were skipping ahead and not spending enough time in certain stages, at the same time I also enjoyed it and I did not have time to get bored. Let's go to the next spread. Here I will try to fit 3 book reviews, because I either don't have much to say about this or I don't really care to write a long review. So first, let's talk about Persuasion. I was not overly excited for this, but it won the poll pick in Goober Readathon I took part in during May, and it was free on Audible, so I listened to it, and to be honest, I felt completely nothing. Well, maybe a little in a scene with a certain letter, Austen and her letters, right? Maybe I was in a reading slump, maybe I just did not enjoy it. Who knows? Going back to these classics means different writing style, which I do not particularly enjoy, and with this slower paced story it was sometimes a slog to get through. So yeah, characters were very on the nose, so it was not possible to get mistaken in which characters you should root for and which ones you should hate. The story was similar to many others. I don't know, maybe if this was my first Jane Austen book, I would like it much more, but it was not bad. Almost 3 stars means an okay read for me, and I would still love to try more books from the author. Now let's go to a completely different world with This Inevitable Ruin, 7th and the last published book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And now I am sad there is nothing more from this world to be read. The world is getting bigger, stakes are getting higher, story is sometimes going over my head, and Donut is being Donut. There is lots of action, lots of madness, but also many emotional moments. There was so much happening, I was getting confused and even overwhelmed, so I did not enjoy this book as much as the previous ones, but it was still a great read and I think I might even enjoy it more on the reread. Okay, now let's squeeze in the 3 investigators and the mystery of circus dancer. I read it in Slovak, so the cover is in Slovak as well, and let's address the elephant in the room. This cover is atrocious, but it was the only one I could find for this book. This I read the last day of May, and only because I had it on hand and I needed a couple more points to get into the next tier in the Goober Readathon, and to be honest, I wanted to DNF this almost as soon as I started. It is part of, I think, a middle grade series with almost 100 books that have started being published in 60s, and there are still new ones released to this day. The one I have read was first published in 1993, and I would say it did not age well. I know it is a middle grade or young adult, I don't really know. The information is so different on different sites, but no matter what, I think kids deserve better. I thought these guys were supposed to be teenagers, maybe 14 or so, and I kid you not, they sometimes talked and behaved like 40-year-old dudes. And then they also drove a car, so I don't know what's going on in here. Okay, last couple of books, guys. And for some reason you might hear that, but I'm having a really hard time doing this voiceover. I don't know, my voice is just not voicing today. Anyway, The Art of Kelogsloops is my first 5-star of this year, and of course it is. Every art book is a 5-star. I buy this because I love the art and I want to support my favorite artists. And I love to look at their art, so even if the rest of the book is not perfect, the art always is. And yeah, with this art book I was kind of disappointed by the art tutorials included, because these had been published on Kelogsloops YouTube a few years ago already, and I was hoping for something newer, but well, you can't go wrong with basics, right? Still, this book is beautiful and exceptionally heavy, and I loved flipping through pages and enjoying Hugh's art up close. I got it from a Kickstarter where we also got these stickers of Hugh's art and temporary tattoos. I don't know if I will ever use these tattoos, but at the same time it felt like a waste to use them in the notebook, so I made a copy of them and used some of the designs that way. And the last book we are going to talk about today is Dungeons and Drama. I would not have picked this book up if it was not, again, for the Goober Readathon and of course for its cover. Look how adorable this is. Also, I was promised Dungeons and Dragons content. Not that I was ever invited to a D&D game, but it's so cool when people know how to play and make it interesting. Okay, so we have Riley, a teenage girl who loves musical and theater. She is wearing extremely colorful clothes because how else are you going to make her look like a drama freak, right? And she is doing stupid things that I am not sure all can be defended as a young foolishness. And then we have Nathan, quiet boy who loves D&D and works in her father's gaming shop. One stupid decision leads to another, and they are fake dating to cover for each other, and she then joins Nathan's D&D group where she, gasp, discovers she can play a character and be as obnoxious as ever. Can you say I did not like her? I did not. She was just so annoying, and there were so many times I wished this book was written from Nathan's perspective, or at least some parts of it, because first, he was more interesting character and I would love to know more about him, and second, I would rather read about him spending hours painting gaming figures than her obsessing about theater. But I can't say how much I loved those two together. It's been a long time since I enjoyed a contemporary romance, and this was just so delightful to read. Some of their moments were just squeak-worthy, and my cold heart felt a little warmer and squishier the more the story progressed. I gave this book quite a high rating because I enjoyed it a lot, and if Riley was maybe a slightly different, this would have been a 5-star read. I am not seeing myself reading more contemporary romance, especially not young adult ones, but from time to time it might be a good palate cleanser. I do not have much practice in doing pink pages, and also pink stationery is a bit sparse in my stash, so I made do with what I had. Yes, if you did not notice, I love to decorate my pages to match the book cover. So yeah, that's why this page is pink. But I so wished I had some D&D stationery that would make this page amazing. But anyway, I think it is still cute. And that's all books I have finished in May. Now let's update my monthly and yearly trackers, and for that we are going to switch to a real-time RyeMi. I finished 9 books in May, so we are going to color in 9 squares here, and we need to choose a color. I feel like we are missing blue in here, so let's find some nice blue. For this I am using my Ohuhu brush markers, and let's see. Okay, let's try this one. The color does not always match with the pen, but it's okay, it's not that different, and this might look nice. Yeah, that's a pretty one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we are going to complete full 2 rows. That's nice. Okay, so as you can see, I have already finished 31 books in 2025, which is quite a lot. I am sure last year I was far ahead, but I was also reading a lot of manga last year. And this year, not so much. I don't think I have read any manga volume or webtoon volume yet, so these are all full-length books. There might be like 1 or 2 novellas hidden, but 31 is pretty good. Okay, what is this? Oh, so this got undone. Okay, we can put it back in. So for books read in 2025, I have already filled in all of my May reads, and we are finally on page 2. I did maybe too many pages in here, but I'd rather have way too much space than missing some at the end of the year. So now we are going to put in covers of all the books I have read, and I have these prepared. So these are all the book covers we will be adding in these trackers, but these ones are for the covers. And guys, I recently watched Jashii Corinne's video on how she is printing the book covers, and I was thinking like, yeah, like what new she is going to teach me. And guys, I was, I guess, humbled immediately, because like I have been doing this for 3 years maybe, and every single month I am manually resizing every single book cover for every single stat or page I need to put them in. And like you can use templates. Why did it never occur to me that you can use templates? Like my life is going to be so much easier now. So thank you so much, Jashii, for this amazing video, because I immediately went and made my templates, and I have one Canva page where I put all of these. So like I have full row of templates, so I can just put in the covers and they resize themselves, and I don't have to do a thing. So yeah, I have the whole page full of templates, and that's just amazing. So I will link that video down in the description, because yeah. So anyway, in here I am putting in the book covers in the order I finished my books. First one was Swordheart, then I read the art book, then this one, then I finally finished Where the Library Hides. I've been reading that since April. Persuasion, then Kindred, Dungeons and Drama next, Wizard of the Earthsea. Oh, okay. 3 investigators last. This is also getting nicely filled in. Now for Read My Shelf, I finished only one of my books, and it is The Art of Kelogsloops. I am not doing the best, guys, but I think I will make some progress in June in here, so that will be nice. Okay, now series tracker. There was some progress. I've read the 7th and for now the last book in the Dungeon Crawler Carol series. And then it was the 2nd book in the Secrets of the Nile. And that's all finished now. And even if it were more books published, I am not going to read them. Now it's time to add Dungeons and Drama series by Christy Boyce. That one has 2 books already out, and I have finished one, Earthsea Cycle, and that one has, I think, 6 books. So let's do a dot for each of these books. And I again finished the first one. I am definitely running out of space here. I should finally finish some of the series. Like, if you look in here, I have only 1 book in the Poppy War to finish, 1 in the Locked Tomb, 1 in the Book of Tea, 1 in Black Hollow Lane, 1 in War Arts, and Riria Revelations, Scholomance. Like, all of these need only 1 book for me to finish the series. So maybe I should like have a month where I finish as many series as I can. I don't know. That's an idea. I have not bought any books in May. And for this, you know which cover belongs in here. We are going to put in Dungeons and Drama for the pink in the rainbow, because this is so pretty and so pink, so it needs to be here. Okay, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I already don't remember. Yeah, 4.5. So let's color this in. 3, 4.5. Okay, so we are missing green, blue, indigo, red and white, and metallic. Yeah, okay, we can do that, I think. Hopefully there is still a half year left, so that's fine. Now, days I finished a book. Oh, because I finished 9 books, this will be pretty colorful. Okay, let's see. So I finished Sunday 4th. Then Monday 5th, and then next week Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday. Oh, that was a good week. And then we have Monday and Tuesday and the last day of the month. That was also a good week. Okay, let's see if I colored in 9. Yeah, okay, this I really like how this looks, and I like that you can see all the colors I chose for each month. I think it's just cute. Now, statistics. Okay, let's fill in this beast. So, finished 9. I physically or digitally read almost 1,000 pages. Almost. And I listened for 4,000 minutes. That's a lot. Okay, and then if I transfer all the minutes into pages, I read 2,800 pages, which is also a lot. Not the most, but this was my 2nd best month this year so far. Okay, pages per book, 313. So I've been reading smaller books, and pages per day, 91. So it is like roughly in the middle. March was, of course, exception to everything, because that was a month of Aurelium. So I've been reading a lot in March. Okay, bought 0. Unhold 0. Then I have had 5 audiobooks, 2 physical reads and 2 digital reads, no mixed media, no DNFs. And because I gave all these half and quarter stars to my books, I'm just going to approximate this. So we had 1 star, 2 stars, 1 3 star, 3 4 stars, 1 was 4.5 and 1 was 5. And that makes 3.28 my average rating, which is not good, but I also had like books from all ratings, so that's fine. Next, pages per book. Okay, I am so excited for this because I have read books with all different page counts, so we are going to fill in all different tiers in here. 1 box in this section, which is awesome to finally see it starting to get filled. 2 books with under 200 pages, and then 3 books under 300 pages. Okay, this was not planned, guys, but look at this. Oh, it looks so much better now. Then we have 1 book under 400 pages. No, it was 2. So let's color in 2 squares. And then we are going all the way here to color in a book under 800 pages. And yeah, this is looking really nice. For the Hall of Fame, I'm going to add here Dungeons and Drama because I enjoyed it a lot despite the main female character. And I don't know if I'm going to be adding art books in here, but since I don't have that many awesome books I have read this year, so let's just add it here on the side, the Art of Kelogsloops. And yeah, we'll see, because books I will have in here, I will then use in my top 10 books of the year. So it would be nice to have 10 books written in here. Okay. A to Z challenge. I think we are going to fill in quite a lot in here. I don't know, I just have a feeling. So let's see. For the book titles, we had Swordheart, so I can add it in here. Then we had the Art of Kelogsloops, so we are having something for the A finally. Then Kindred, yes, and Persuasion. Oh yeah, as I said, guys, this is going nicely. And the 3 investigators, the book is called Záhada cirkusovej tanečnice in Slovakia. So I'm going to fill in that Z. So this is looking nice. Now for the authors, we had Hugh, Octavia, Christy, and Ursula. Oh, I had a good feeling about this, and it turns out I was right. Look at this. Oh, it's so nice to see this filling up. I have already filled in my year in pixels, and it's so chaotic, but I love it a lot. Okay, places I have visited. I keep forgetting to keep track, but I think we were in Bath in Persuasion, so let's put it here. Kindred was in California, at least the modern part. Earthsea, I guess, because of the Wizard of the Earthsea. Let's use a different pen. I hope it works. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, it works now. I butchered the E, but that's fine. That's what I remember. I don't remember much else. And I am so bad at least noting down those places. I have put in 3 for May, so that's good. Now, nothing for my book club, but we have few things to add to my bingo. And there are some of the book covers I did not put in last month, so we will do that as well. So we need to add Eye of the Bedlam Bride for book over 500 pages. Yeah. And then I completely forgot I read my book club read. So this is not the correct pink, but I don't really care. And now, guys, we are making some bingos today because the first unfilled prompt is Made Me Dance, and I am sure I was dancing with Dungeons and Drama. So let's color this in, and we have 1 and 2 bingos already. That's so fun. I was honest with you guys, and I told you when I made this bingo that I am not a big fan of how I made this, but I love seeing this being filled in and seeing all those bingos and seeing everything being colored in. So I am starting to like it much more. Okay, now we have one word title, and that's Persuasion. Then a book under 200 pages, and that was a Wizard of the Earthsea. I think it was 186 or something. And then read something else than fantasy. I read the art book. That's not fantasy. So look, another 2 more bingos. And no manga. And Kindred was published before I was born. So let's fill in this one as well. And we have another bingo. Okay, so this was a very successful month bingo wise. So let's see. We have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bingos today. That's that's crazy. I did not expect to have that many. Okay, and the last one is Buzzword Reading Challenge. Here we don't have that much to put in. We have Dungeons and Drama for alliteration. Nice. Then a Wizard of the Earthsea for a skyline, because there is a little skyline right there. And a Swordheart for the pattern, because you can see it's kind of divided into 4 parts. Okay, and that's it for all of my monthly and yearly trackers. Now let's see my book pages one more time. No, we have a Goober Readathon. Oh man, I forgot about that. Okay, so I am sure I have already said that like a million times in this video, but I was part of the Goober Readathon. This is my TBR, and I have to say I kind of sticked to the TBR, but I also kind of shuffled things around. Now I need to just mark which prompts I fulfilled and how many points I got. So let's see. I'm sure I fulfilled all of those prompts. This one, and this one. So I have 1, 2, and 3, 6 points already. Then I finished a book from a host TBR, and it was Dungeons and Drama. So that's 2 points for that. Okay, this is probably not at all interesting to you guys. Eye-catching cover. Then it was a recommendation and book I was avoiding. And then there were non-reading prompts, and I did all of those. So let's see, I have full 30 points. Is that right? Oh, so that means I did not have to read the 3 investigators and be annoyed with it because I thought I was short on points, so I read that one at the last day of the month to get some more points, and I did not need to. So I got exactly 30 points, and I reached Ghostly Gardener, which is such a fun title. So let's write it in. So yeah, that's my Goober Readathon. And like guys, I was sure I would not read everything in here, but to be honest, I read more than I expected. Okay, and now we can go and see my May pages. This is so colorful and I love it so much. This has to be my favorite spread of all the spreads I have made for May. Here we have this. I also love how this turned out. This is maybe a bit all over the place, but still lovely, still cute. And now this, I'd say, is a bit of a mess. This page is prettier. This is a mess, but also mostly maybe because I don't really like this cover, so it might be why. Okay, and the last spread, and this is also adorable. Okay, guys, and that's it for my May reading wrap-up. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a lovely time. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I would love to know if you read some of those books and what are your thoughts about them or about my reviews and feelings. Let me know in the comments below. Have an absolutely lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.